we begin with growing outrage directed at a Sesame Place children's theme park outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Last week, we told you about this viral clip posted by a parent, Jody Brown. It appears to show one of the park's characters, Rosita, ignoring her 6-year-old daughter and niece. And that clip has now been viewed nearly 900,000 times. And as its reach grew, more families began to share their own stories of their kids being ignored, sometimes by the same character. Last week, we had the parents, Lauren and Rodney Willie, on our show to discuss this video you see here of their own young daughter being snubbed by the same Rosita character.
You didn't notice that after Rosita hadn't stopped for her, that Rosita then stopped for another child for at least 3 minutes and stopped and took pictures. And this wasn't on Rosita's route to where she was going. She deliberately stopped for this other kid, a little white child. So, you know, Lola's not thinking about that the way that we are. But at the moment, yeah, this is one of her favorite characters. It's a character of inclusivity. And she felt bad for a sec, yeah.
Sesame Place has put out several statements since the emergence of these clips. The first offered an apology, but denied the performer in the Rosita costume had malicious intent, instead clarifying that the costumes can sometimes make it hard for performers to see children standing at lower levels. That response was met with backlash. In a second statement, the company again apologized and committed to additional training for all of its employees. And in a third statement, the company said it was, quote, taking action and reviewing its practices to identify necessary changes both in the immediate and long term. Additionally, the president of Sesame Place says the performer in that Rosita costume hasn't worked since the night of the first incident that went viral. And she didn't clarify, though, that if the performer was still employed by Sesame Place. And even still, none of those responses had been able to make this controversy go away for Sesame Place. And that's because in recent weeks, even more videos have emerged featuring different characters on different days doing the exact same thing, appearing to ignore black children, in some cases, seconds after interacting with white children. And those clips are fueling concerns that this may be a deeper cultural issue at the park rather than a few isolated incidents. Jody Brown, the mother that put the first viral clip online from Sesame Place, has since retained attorneys, including civil rights lawyer Benjamin Crump. They held a press conference Saturday laying out a clear message to both Sesame Place and its parent company, SeaWorld.
That character may have ignored them, but we will never ignore our black children. They have every right to be given the full consideration and respect of any other child, whether white, brown, red, or black.
I shouldn't have to explain what racism is to 6-year-olds. That's right. It's not fair to me. And for them to think that they did something wrong when all they were supposed to be doing was enjoying themselves at a park for kids, it's absolutely unacceptable.
Joining me now is civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump. So, Ben, there is now video showing a different angle of the incident that Jody Brown recorded and posted online. And just like she claimed, it shows the same character hugging a white child right after skipping those two 6-year-old girls. I mean, what do you see here? And react to what we're seeing in this new clip.
Was Alina? I knew that when I got involved in you cover these matters where they try to marginalize black and brown people. But what hurts so much about this is innocence. 2 little 6-year-old girls who all they wanted to do was to meet their cartoon hero, and to be snubbed like that. Then have the character then go hug a little white girl. It asks the question, why would you do that, number one? But as Jody Brown said, my daughter asked me, what's wrong with us? What did we do wrong? And you know the mental impact that has on a child. As the great Maya Angelou said, people will often forget what you did. People will often forget what you said. but people would never forget how you made them feel. And that's why we are not going to let SeaWorld Corporation just give some lip service without having some accountability for these two little princesses.
I think now that we have so many videos that, you can look at them each individually and say, okay, once might be an accident, twice might be a coincidence. All of the videos, though, it shows that there's something here. There's something deeper here. Help us understand what the family wants in terms of accountability for what we're seeing here in all of these videos and what they're hoping to accomplish by bringing all of our attention to this issue.
Zerlina, my co-counsel, and I have been in consultation with counsel for the SeaWorld Corporation, who is the parent owner of Sesame Place. And we're not only seeking compensation for these young ladies, but we're also seeking policy change. We want them to prove their commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, not only for the customers that visit these parks, but also for their employees. We're looking at whether there's diversity and there are higher levels of leadership at SeaWorld, because we want to believe that if they had diversity in those C-suites, that this would be a priority to make sure that their characters are not making little Black children feel irrelevant, insignificant, invisible, and inferior.
We only have one more minute here, but you mentioned diversity, equity, and inclusion. What does that really look like in practice? How can a place like SeaWorld and Sesame Place really put what you're talking about into practice?
Zerlina, it's real simple when you look at what we're dealing with now. The diversity, equity, and inclusion would mean that you would have characters that give the same consideration to little Black children that they give to little white children. You wouldn't see so many videos. I mean, Attorney Lamar has been telling me there have been dozens upon dozens of families coming forward saying they did the same exact thing to my Black child. And so SeaWorld, this is an opportunity to have a teachable moment. It could be a win-win in the fact that we try to make those children feel like they are not insignificant, but also it's an opportunity to make you be a better company and to have a moment that America says we're better than this. We don't want to see this injustice, these microaggressions against little Black children that starts at 6 years old. We know when we get to be adults, we're going to have to deal with it. But why our children have to deal with it? It is not fair, Brown said.
Amen to that. Microaggressions, I have no patience for them, not as a child, not as an adult. As civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, it's been so great to have you to start this off. We've been on this story from the beginning, and we're so grateful for you for joining today. Please stay safe. Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.